Welcome back to the Boneyard Podcast, everybody. This is your host, Jared Shafit, along with my good friend, Artemis Brower. Artie, how are we doing, my friend?
We're good, man. We're live. We're in good spirits. We just got done with Christmas. We got New Year's this weekend, right around the corner. Another 3-day weekend coming up. So we're good, man. I hope Santa Claus was good to you. He was good to me. So,
Artie, I was a naughty boy. No.
I don't know about that.
Santa was good to me. So couldn't be more thankful, right? Like lots going on, but everybody's happy, everybody's healthy in the Shafit household, so everything's good. But Artie, did you get anything nice for Christmas?
Yeah, man. I got a nice little Apple Watch.
Oh, nice. So I won't have to wait for you to text me. Text me back. I'll just know that you got my text.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, like I have no excuse now. It's gonna come right here on the wrist, so I will have no excuse to not text or call people back. So that was definitely what I got. You know, I got adult stuff. I got some money from my mom, from my mother-in-law. Got some shoes. My brother bought me a pair of shoes, and that was really nice. But it was good, man. I can't complain. I got more than what I needed, more than what I deserved. So it was good.
Love that. Yeah. I'm at the point in my life, Artie, where I'm getting yard like tools. Like I got this.
Okay, hold on now. Hold on now. Talk about. You like the yard tools as a Christmas gift?
I do, actually.
Okay.
Yes.
Hey, look. Hey. As long as you like the yard tools,
you know how I am about my yard. You know how I am.
You love your yard. I might feel some type of way about someone to give me yard tools as a Christmas gift. You know, that's more like a.
No, I got a. I have a huge oak tree. I say it's an oak. It's a huge tree. Dumps a bunch of leaves in the backyard every fall, and I spend several days. I feel like I end up leaf blowing 2 or 3 days a week in my backyard, and it's just a big hassle.
You're just sitting there unnecessarily leaf blowing at time
because
you see 2 leaves in the backyard.
No, it's not even that. It just dumps that many leaves in my backyard.
That's wild.
Like my whole backyard would be covered in leaves if I didn't. So what I got was I got this like leaf vacuum, a Ryobi leaf vacuum. Love it. Super excited to use it. Excited for that. Also got some new golf shoes. Got a
nice.
Got a golf cart, like a push cart for when I'll play in the summer league. So
the push cart. Wow, you graduated to the push cart? You're gonna be out there walking now?
I walk at least once a week during the summer.
You're legitimate. And whenever I see somebody with the push carts and they're not out there with the actual, the carts, they golf a lot. They are legit.
Yeah, so I've got a push cart because I play in a summer league. You have to walk, and so I walk 9 holes at least once a week during the summer. I'm hoping to walk some more, man. I'll tell you. You don't talk about exercise, man.
Yeah,
I lost a bunch of weight this summer walking a golf course.
Yep.
So
that is a workout.
Excited about that. Also, I mean, the wife and I, our gift to each other was a cruise. So
nice.
Excited. Yeah.
Hold on, where you guys going? You got to spill the deets.
Oh, we got. It's a 4-day cruise, 4-day, 5-night, I think. So we only have one stop. We're going to Nassau. I'm really just looking for an opportunity to drink a bunch.
That's the whole point of going to cruise.
So yeah, that's what we're doing. That is what we're doing, Artie. All right, number 77.
Yes.
Do you have a number 77 for me?
I do have a number 77 for you. Now, this is a guy we have not mentioned on the podcast before, even though he is chalk by today's standards. But I had to do it. I had to switch up from the old D lineman, switch up from some of the hockey guys. So my 77 this week is Luka Doncic, one of the only basketball players to rock a number that high, like a 77. You just don't ever really see that in the NBA or in pro basketball, but one of the young rising stars, MVP caliber kind of guy. Love Luka Doncic, love his game. He actually wears that number in honor of his mentor. He was a Greek basketball player, Vasily. I forget his last name, but was like a super good professional basketball player over in the Greek leagues. So that's actually why he wears the number 77. But yeah, shout out Luka Doncic. That will be my 77 for the week.
All right, yeah, that's a good one. Mine, I wouldn't say he's necessarily chalk. Artie, it's a guy that I've enjoyed watching play baseball. I'm gonna go Clint Frazier. Right, he's played with the Yankees, believe the Cubs, and then also the White Sox. I mean, he's not like the craziest. Like he's right in the middle. Like got a 0 WAR for his entire career, 235 batting average. Just kind of like one of your guys that everybody was hoping he'd be more than what he is, but he's not. He's one of those guys that he just shows up to the ballpark, does his job, and goes home. He's not going to blow you away with his stats. I mean, only had 66 at bats last year, and of those 66 at bats, he only had 13 hits. So below the Mendoza line last year. Did have 4 stolen bases though, so I'm gonna go Clint Frazier with my number 77.
Love it.
There was a lot of good guys that we could have picked from though. I mean, I looked at some of the NHL guys and I was like, I do NHL all the damn time, so had to do something different, right? All right, Artie, before we get started, the Boneyard Podcast, proud to be members of the Variety Sports Podcast Network. If you're watching on Variety Sports Network right now, shout out to you. If you're not, go follow them. All right. Lots of great content. We are still talking about the NHL podcast. I've had some things come up in life that, I was like, maybe in the new year. So that's on me. The NHL podcast is going to be a thing though. Working on that, storyboarding some of that now, hopefully to have one in the new year. There's a new show called The Timeout, just aired last night. Check it out. Pretty interesting format. So lots of great content. If you're interested in college basketball outside of ECU and college basketball in general, lots of great content about that, right? So also great college football, fantasy football, gambling, whatever you could want, we got it at Variety Sports Network. Make sure you subscribe to them on YouTube. And if you're watching on Variety Sports Network, make sure you subscribe to us, the Boneyard Podcast on YouTube. All right, Artie. First things first, let's talk about, we've kind of been leading off every episode with the transfer portal, right? It's the biggest thing. Yeah. The transfer portal closes, I believe, next week. So we're getting to the end of the craziness, right? Kids are going to have to be enrolling soon. They want to be there for spring ball. They're going to have to be enrolling very soon, so they don't have much time. Kind of a bombshell was dropped on ECU this past week, or I guess yesterday, depending on when you're listening to this. Bombshell was dropped. Antoine Jackson, freshman cornerback from ECU, 17 years old, enters the transfer portal. I don't know if we should be shocked that Antoine Jackson is in the transfer portal, but I think that there are some people around ECU that are shocked. There's a story out there that he told coaches that he was coming back next year, went home, probably had somebody get in his ear, tell him, hey, you could get more money somewhere else. Comes back, enters the transfer portal, kind of in the darkness of night, and then rides off into the sunset. We all know the story. I mean, he came to ECU, took an official visit. He did the switcheroo, he played the hat game. Girlfriend goes to ECU, or I don't know if they're still dating. plays basketball for ECU. And then, he decommitted, got out of his NLI, his national letter of intent, then commits to ECU, comes to ECU in the summer, balls out on the defense, has a stellar season. I mean, remembering he was only 17.
Yeah, true freshman.
And now he's in the portal, right? I think that there's a lot of people thinking that, he's a lock to go back home to Miami. If you're betting on where a kid's going to go, Miami's probably going to be the place. And I get it. We're not going to talk bad about an athlete doing what's right for them, right? I saw some people out there doing that, right? And to each their own. We're not going to talk bad about somebody doing what's right for them and what's right for their family. But it still sucks the way that, if the story's true, which I believe it is true, that he told the defensive staff that he was coming back and then enters the portal, that's kind of shady.
No, it's definitely shady. I want everybody to remember that we are talking about a kid here. We're not even talking about a senior in college. We're talking about a true freshman. We're talking about a guy that was in high school last year, right? So, teenagers, they can switch up their mind from day to day. It really just happens, right? Now, if the story is true, and I believe I think that the story is probably true. It is beat up the way that happened, to kind of inform the coaches, hey, I'm locked in, I'm a Pirate, I'm going to come back. And then kind of, the very next day, it's like, no, actually, deuces, I'm getting up out of here. Yeah, that's a little beat up. It's a little shady. But I firmly believe he had people chirping in his ear. This was not a decision that he made on his own. He honestly might not even made the decision himself, right? Somebody might have made this decision for him. So definitely not going to beat him up for that. I think he's going back to Miami. He wanted to be a Cane through and through. That's just, he's from Florida. He grew up a Miami fan. He wanted to be a Hurricane. The deal fell through. He came to ECU. I appreciate everything he did in his true freshman year. He balled out for us this year. You can't sit here and be like, oh, well, the kid came here and didn't do nothing. No, he balled out. He would have been a starter next year. He would have been a contributor next year. So I appreciate everything that he did for ECU this season. I wish him nothing but the best. And it sucks, but, it is what it is.
Yeah, and look, we've still got Siobhan Revel on the other side.
Right.
He's still there. He's locked in. Right? So, it sucks. It sucks when you lose a guy of that caliber. Highest rated recruit in ECU history. It sucks. It really does. And that's just the day and age that we live in. And it just goes to show how important the NIL is to college athletics, right? Like, we need to be supporting Team Boneyard so that we can keep these guys. And granted, it's hard to compete with the Miamis of the world, with the Florida States of the world, with the Texas A&Ms of the world, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to compete with them, especially from a financial standpoint. But we have to do what we can to keep talent and to recruit talent. Otherwise, there's no point, right? So I think he would have left either way. He was going to get a bigger opportunity somewhere else. If it wasn't this year, it was going to be next year, right? As long as he didn't get injured, he was going to get his opportunity somewhere else eventually. He wasn't going to graduate from East Carolina University.
Right.
I don't think
he was not going to be here 3-4 years. That just wasn't going to happen.
And if you're thinking that he was a guy that was going to be here the entirety of his college career, I got some oceanfront property to sell you in Kansas. All right, because he wasn't going to be here. We all knew he was going to transfer. It was just when, hoping that he could get through another year or two before transferring out as a junior or senior. But it's just the day and age that we live in, right? And college football, college athletics is going in this direction. And look, We want what's best for the athletes. We said it plenty of times. If you're new to the Boneyard Podcast, here's our stance. We want what's best for the athletes, whether it's as many transfers as possible, whether it's NIL money, revenue sharing. We want that for the athletes because we know how much they bring into the university. Now, if you would have asked me 5 years ago before we started this podcast, before we made friends, and when I say friends, real friends that are athletes, I would have been on the other side of that, right? Like I would have said, no, like you have a commitment. I don't like the transfer. But now knowing what these kids do for the university and knowing what all they go through,
right?
I understand.
They got every right to make that business decision and pack bags and head out. As long as it's not a messy divorce, right? As long as they leave on good terms, as long as it's not something that's detrimental to themselves or detrimental to the team they leave behind, because there have been some messy breakups, and that's what you want to avoid. You want to avoid a messy breakup, but you're never going to fault a kid for doing something for their future.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else on Antoine Jackson, Artie?
Nope. Wish him the best. If he does end up at Miami, no shade. Have fun going 7-5. Miami.
I don't know if there's a program in the country that does less with more than the University of Miami.
Miami, honestly, and I like Miami. I wish Miami would have been back 10 years ago. It's absurd that they haven't turned that program around.
When Miami is good, it's good for college football.
It's very good for college football. We need the U back. Southern Cal, USC. We saw it with Tennessee. Like when those schools are good, it's good for college football. Right? And I mean, USC, once again, kind of another one of those programs that does the least with the most. Look, USC is a good D coordinator away from being a national champion. They just need a D coordinator because they just can't do nothing right on that side of the ball. That's all they need. And Lincoln Riley should be able to get something together. So
Lincoln Riley, come back home. Okay.
Don't come back home if you can't coach defense.
We got Blake Harrell for that. All right. Artie. Next up, some recent transfer offers. Like I said, the transfer portal closes in the next week or so. Two guys stand out. I want to say Ja'Carius Clayton, tight end from Mississippi State, 6'6", 240 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have his stats in front of me, but, I mean, that's one of those guys. That's a position that for a while we got away from it under the Scotty Moe days. We've seen it come back over the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Now we got to get ready for when we got to bolster that room up a little bit, right? We got Shane Calhoun, we got Riles, but we need another guy, right? And that's what I think they're thinking there. I believe he's got 2 years of eligibility left, so could be a good get. And then another one, Wyatt Hummel, offensive lineman from Villanova. I mean, an FCS program that has had some pretty good success.
They were in the playoffs this year. They had some real good success.
6'6", 330 pounds. And he's played all three positions on the offensive line. Believe he's played left tackle, left guard, and center. And those are all positions of need for East Carolina. So he could slot in anywhere on that left side of the offensive line. That would be a big get. So blow him up on Twitter, y'all. I've been seeing that he's been getting some offers. That'd be a good one. That would be a good one.
That's definitely one that would be a good one. I mean, he's coming from a program with some success. He kind of has that not championship DNA because they didn't win any championships, but that playoff DNA, that kind of been there, done that. I know what it feels like to be in a winning locker room kind of DNA. That is important to a team that's trying to build something and become something special.
Yeah, I was watching his tape, Artie, and I mean, more pancakes than IHOP. Just gonna say that. I didn't get the response I wanted out of that.
I don't know what I'm doing, Jack. I just know what I'm doing. Next.
All right. Well, that's it on the transfer portal, Artie. But that I have. Do you have anything else on the transfer portal? Anything?
No, sad, brother.
I mean, offensive line is where we need. That's where we need help, right? You got to commit from Maine. Maine's an okay program, but we need somebody else, and that's kind of the last piece to make sure you're protecting your new guy, right? Kane Hauser, friend of the podcast, Kane Hauser, or whoever is under center next year.
Yeah,
making sure that you have our star-studded running back room, giving them every opportunity that they can to make big plays. Because you can't have the pass defense that JDB wants to run without a rush offense like ECU is capable of having if they have a decent offensive line.
right. It all goes through the old line. I mean, you can have a star quarterback, right? But it's not like the NFL where like the star quarterback can put on the cape, save the day sometimes. College football, if you don't have a good online that can get that run blocking, that pass blocking for you, even with a star quarterback, it's still going to expose itself. So that old line is definitely a point of emphasis. And it is what I think the last point of emphasis that we really need to hone in on and get better immediately at.
For sure. All right, Artie, around ECU athletics, just do some quick hits here. Women's basketball now 7-3, beat Charleston Southern by a mark of 75-46. Had 4 players in double digits for the Pirates: Karina Gordon, Micah Dennis, Amaya Joyner, and Danae McNeil.
Yeah.
So that was a good game. You got a test this weekend.
A test.
A big test.
You gotta.
This is the final boss.
Yeah. There's no more final bosses. This is the final boss of final bosses. Like,
I mean, South Carolina, the Gamecocks, the Chickens, the Roosters, coming into Greenville, ranked number 1, numero uno, already in the country.
Yeah.
On Saturday. Minji's better be rocking. Make sure y'all are getting y'all's tickets.
Yeah, there better not be an empty seat in the. I swear there better not be an empty seat. Not one. You kidding me? It's South Carolina now.
Shock the world, baby. Shock the world.
Hey, look. Are we going to beat South Carolina? No, I don't think we're going to beat South Carolina. No.
Clip it. Josh, clip it.
Do I think we can compete with South Carolina? Absolutely. Now, you look at South Carolina's last 5 games. They only have one close game. I think that was, who did they play? Wisconsin or somebody? I don't know who it was. They beat them, Wisconsin and Houston, one of them. And they still ended up beating them by 9. But their last 5 games look scary. I mean, they've won by like 50, 30, 60, whatever it is. I mean, they're a scary good basketball program. Dawn Staley is my favorite women's basketball coach. Honestly, probably my favorite women's coach in general in all sports. I love Dawn Staley. I love what she's done with that program. South Carolina's going to come to Minji's expecting a blowout. So let's compete. Let's pack that house. Let's make it hard for South Carolina. Let's shock them because they're probably going to come in not thinking much, to be honest with you. They're coming into Greenville, probably not going to think much of that atmosphere, that environment. So that's going to play a huge factor. But you say shock the world. I just want to see a good game. And if we do end up shocking the world, phenomenal. But I just want to see us ladies compete, put up a good performance. We got a good team ourselves. We're 7-3. I think we're coming off 5 straight victories ourselves. I know they're coming off of 10 or 11 straight to start the season. So these are 2 teams on hot streaks right now, right? So competitive nature, have it packed, have it raucous, be out there loud. Don't be belligerent, don't be ignorant. But man, I wish I could be at this game. I really do. I really wish I could be here.
Already earlier in the season, they held a top 10 team. They beat a top 10 team, 171, beat Notre Dame. Then the very next game beat number 14 Maryland, a team that ECU beat in an exhibition. or came close to beating, I should say. I don't think ECU necessarily beat them, but 114-76. Held Clemson to 40 points. Already,
yeah, they beat some team by 70. I think they definitely beat a team by 70.
They beat Mississippi Valley State 101-19.
That wasn't the game I was talking about, but I didn't. No, that's not real. You're lying to me. That's not real.
I'm
Jared,
telling
that's
you,
not real.
They beat them 101-19. They beat Clemson 109-40.
Stop playing with me. They beat them 101-19.
They beat Morgan State 104-38.
Oh my goodness!
Just a couple weeks ago, less than 2 weeks ago, beat Presbyterian 99-29.
That's the one they won by 70. That's the one I was thinking of. I thought that was the biggest blowout of the season. Yo.
80 points.
Oh my goodness.
Beat them by 80 points.
Ooh. Wow. 19
points.
Nobody's defense is that good. I'm sorry. I know South Carolina's a juggernaut, but nobody's defense is that. They had to just be throwing up bricks, just straight bricks the whole game. Nobody's defense is that good.
Here's the quarter by quarter points for Mississippi Valley State. First quarter, 6 points. Second quarter, 6 points. Third quarter, 4 points. In the fourth quarter, Artie, they allowed only 3 points. While South Carolina had 20, 24, 28, 25, 24.
Jared, if we lose this game by 20 or less, we won.
The closest game
I'm gonna call it a victory. If we lose this game by 20 or less, I'm gonna call it a victory.
The closest game that they've been in, Artie, is a 7-point win over 24th ranked Chapel Hill.
Wow.
And that was, I believe, in Chapel Hill.
No, look, we've got a damn good women's basketball program. We're gonna score more than 19. I can promise you that. I can promise you we're gonna score more than 19. But wow.
They've only won twice by single digits. They're 11-0. Only 2 games they've won by single digits. And both of them were teams in the top 25.
Yep.
Look, if we lose, I'll say 20 points. I haven't been able to find a line on this game, a spread. I'm going to set it, Artie. I'm going to set it at 27 points.
27 points? Okay.
27.5, okay? Does ECU cover?
I'll tell you what, let's say this game is like 85-65 final, right? I'm walking away from that game saying we can beat anybody other than South Carolina. we can beat anybody. That's how I'm walking away from that game. So
there we go. All right. I mean, then you start conference play. Get through the next one. Hey, you're 6-0 at home. 6-0 at home. Make it 7-0 this Saturday.
No matter what happens in the South Carolina game, I think our women's basketball program will be just fine. But get out there. For the love of God, folks, get out to that game. Get there.
Yeah, and I mean, Artie, we can't switch to men's yet without mentioning Sanaya Johnson out for the season with a broken fibula. Big hit to the starting lineup for the Lady Pirates, but especially on defense, and you're going to need it against a team that consistently puts up over 100 points.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tough to see that. She's a true Pirate. I mean, hit 500 career points in her last game. So she's out for the season. I believe has one more year of eligibility. She should be back next year, but tough to see that. But get out there. Get the Minjies. Get that place rocking. All right, Artie. Let's talk some men's hoops. Okay. Men's basketball improves to 7-5 with a win over Delaware State, beating them 79-50.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, RJ Felton scored 26 points. Look, yeah, you've had some duds in there, right? Losing to USC Upstate. You shouldn't ever lose to USC Upstate, but you did, right? You played it pretty close with two SEC teams that last time I saw they were listed as the first four out or the last four out. So ECU men's, there's opportunity there, right? They got a test coming up themselves once we get to conference play, but we got to talk about let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Josh, I believe you have a clip you wanted to play. Looking over the next 5 games, you got South Carolina at home. Then you play a neutral site game against Florida, home against Delaware State, home against Eastern Tennessee, and then you go on the road, play Florida Atlantic. Yeah, I mean, ha ha ha.
Eastern. Oh God. Oops.
I don't give a damn.
No, you can't do that. You cannot.
I don't care.
As a proud Pirate, as someone, you literally have a podcast about your alma mater. You literally have gone to bat over and over and over again about people not getting our name right. It's not Eastern, it's East. And you do the same thing about another school, brother. I love it. I love it.
East Tennessee State University. East Tennessee State comes in to town. Going back to the transfer portal, Brock Winstead just announced that he's committing to East Tennessee State. So shout out Brock, former long snapper for ECU.
Yeah.
I mean, you host East Tennessee State, and then don't want to look too far ahead of ourselves. We got to play this game against East Tennessee State, but then you got to go on the road and play a very tough team in number 7 Florida Atlantic. I mean, a team that just beat the number 4 team in the country last week.
Yeah, and they're like it's still like early in the season, and they're already battle tested. Like Florida Atlantic has played so many good teams already, and they're still a top 10 program right now. They are firing on all cylinders. They're getting really good at the right time. We need this East Tennessee game to really get some momentum. Really go into that game off a win. We cannot go into that game off a loss, because I feel like they're just going to blow us out in the first half. We got to go into that game with a win. We got to have some momentum. We got to feel good about ourselves. Be sitting at 8-5, some good juju, because it's going to take everything to go into Boca Raton and even compete. We're not even talking about getting a win. We're talking about just competing with that caliber of a team. It's going to take everything.
Granted, I mean they've got a loss on. Do they have 1 loss or 2 losses now?
They've got 2 losses, but they got 2 losses to ranked opponents, I believe.
No, they lost to Bryant.
Did they lose to Bryant?
They lost to Bryant.
I know one of those is a ranked opponent. They did lose.
They lost to Bryant. They lost to Illinois.
Okay.
Lost to Illinois in Madison Square Garden.
I'm gonna say the Bryant one is a mulligan. I'm gonna give them that. That day, the real FAU didn't show up that day. Now, granted, you can't be out here losing to Bryant, but regardless, that team that lost to Bryant is not the team that ECU is gonna face in Boca Raton January 2nd.
Yeah. We're gonna see we're gonna have to see a team play a full game of basketball, and I've said it before, say it again. Hey, I mean, anything can happen. I mean, we're just 3 years removed from beating a top 5 team, and Minji's in front of nobody.
Yeah. What a travesty, man. I think about that game all the time and think what a travesty that we couldn't do a court storm for that. Because we don't know when we're going to see that again.
Yeah, I mean, Florida Atlantic doesn't come into Greenville this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to figure it out. Who knows? Shock the world. Let's shock the world twice, men's and women's, in the next.
Can you imagine? It's not going to happen. Can you imagine? Our women's basketball teams beat South Carolina, then our men's goes on the road and beats Florida Atlantic. I'm calling this a blue blood. We're going to officially be a blue blood. We make that happen. ECU's a basketball school.
We already knew that, Artie. All right.
Okay.
I don't have anything else on basketball. Artie, it's the new year, right? 2024, less than a week away. And every year we talk about New Year's resolutions as a podcast, as humans, for ECU. And we're going to do the same this year. We're going to do it a little bit differently this year. I still want to know what your New Year's resolution is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But let's talk New Year's resolution for basketball. We're going to break it up for football by position group. And then also baseball, which I mean, it's going to be chalk. We already know what baseball is. Everybody knows what baseball's New Year's resolution is from now until the end of time. But basketball first. We'll go men's and women's. Women's, win the conference tournament again. Go to the NCAA tournament.
Back-to-back conference championships. Go to the NCAA tournament and shock somebody. Win a game in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Let's make it past the first round.
Yeah.
In the NCAA tournament.
That will be my New Year's resolution for women's basketball.
All right. Men's basketball. What's your New Year's resolution for men's basketball?
Finish at least 5 games over 500. I don't care how we get it. I don't care how we do it. 5 games over 500, right? Like have some real separation between you in the wins and losses columns, because to me that kind of really elevates the thinking and the psyche of what this program can be. And instead of just being middle of the pack, 1 game below 500, 1 game above 500, at least finish 5 games over 500. That's my New Year's resolution for men's basketball.
Yeah, I'm gonna say. I won't say 5 games over 500. I'm going to say finish over 500 and make noise, like beat somebody in the conference tournament. Like let's make some noise, scare some people in the conference tournament. I'm not saying we're going to win the conference tournament. I'm not saying we're going to even make it to the finals, but I would love to see us at least make it to the semifinals. And I think that's achievable, right? Like looking at where we are in the conference right now, I think that's attainable. Still a lot of basketball to be played.
Yeah.
But I would say, hey, let's do that. Maybe. I mean, I don't think our net rankings right now are currently good enough to be considered even really for the NIT. But let's play some postseason basketball this year. Right? Whether it's the CBI or whatever they call it now, CIT.
Right. At least get invited to some sort of playoff tournament. Yeah.
Correct. So that's where I'm putting my New Year's resolution for basketball. Make some noise in the conference tournament. be over 500, and play some postseason basketball. Build that pedigree because you've still got some time with this core of players going in under Mike Schwartz over the next 2-3 years.
Yeah.
So start building that winning mentality now.
I'll also add, still a game in conference you're not supposed to steal, right? Against one of these better teams in conference that you're not supposed to beat, still a game.
There's a great game on January 2nd to steal.
Yeah.
Would love that. Would love that. All right, Artie. We don't have to go through every position. We can go through some of them. Let's go through the defense, and I'm just going to group like the edge, defensive line, and linebackers together. I'm not going to give any individual New Year's resolutions. I might have some on the offense, on the defense. Let's talk. Let's talk front seven right now. What is your New Year's resolution for the D line front seven?
We're talking for the year.
Yes.
Whew. Front seven D line for the year. I would like to see 10 to 15 sacks from that front seven on the year. Would like to see at least 25 to 30 tackles for loss from that front seven on the year. Quarterback pressures, at least, I would say 3 to 5 QB pressures a game. I don't know what that is for the year.
Quick math says 36 or 60. Yeah.
You said 36 or 60. You know how wide that margin is?
Well, if you're doing 3 to 5, the low end is 36.
Okay, all right.
5, the high end is 60. So, I mean, you're gonna have some median in there. What is that, like 48?
So let's say 48.
48
for the season, and then game tackling. Obviously, I want relentless pursuit to the football. I like mean, tough guys. I don't like finesse. I don't like sweet guys on my defense. I want you mean. I want you tough. I don't want you out there trying to hurt nobody. But
I mean, if it happens, it happens.
I want you bringing people to the ground with some attitude. So that's what I would want from my front seven New Year's resolution.
If he dies, he dies.
Yeah.
No, I would agree with those stats. I want to see. I believe ECU was top 30 rush defense in the country this past year. I'd like to see us enter the top 20.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's possible. I'd like to see ECU finish in the top 20 rush defense in the country. I would like to see more sacks. It seemed like we were in the backfield a lot last year, but we could just never get
them on the ground
to the quarterback.
Get them on the ground.
So I'm gonna put my over under at 12.5 sacks. I feel like that's a good spot, kind of right in the middle of where you were. Artie, I'd like to see us over that 12.5.
Yeah, I agree.
At least a sack a game, right? I don't think that's too much to ask.
It's not. Yeah.
Especially looking at the schedule we have next year, I don't think that's too much to ask. Yeah, and I think it would be better. It would be nice to. We've seen interceptions from our secondary. Teams at times last year were throwing in the soft areas.
Mm-hmm.
Over the middle. I'd like to see our linebackers come down with 2 or 3 sacks of their own.
And what I'll add to that is creating more negative plays, making it easier on our secondary, putting other people's or the opposition's offense in a 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8 and long kind of scenario where they're just behind the sticks, and it's just really difficult. I would love to see more negative plays created on 1st and 2nd down.
For sure. All right. Anything else on the front seven?
I got nothing else on the front seven.
All right. Secondary. The D-backs.
Yeah.
Is it too much to ask for Siobhan Revel to have 5 picks?
By himself. That's a damn good year.
I mean, what did Jaquan McMillan have his last year at ECU?
Ooh, you put me on the spot.
I think he had 4, maybe 5.
He had quite a few. But
I mean, he was a ball hawk.
Five's a damn good you are, a ball hawk.
He's going to be on the best receiver that ECU is going to be facing week in and week out. Maybe I'll temper expectations and say 4, but I think that 4 interceptions. We saw it. He was all over the place last year. There's opportunities there, and he's going to get the number 1 matchup every week going into next season.
We're talking about the secondary as a whole right now, right?
But secondary as a whole, I mean, what would you say?
8 interceptions as a whole for that secondary, I think is pretty good.
I'll take it.
Maybe 10, but I think 8. I think 8's pretty good.
Just looking here on defense last year, I believe we had 6?
So yeah, you bump that number up another 2 to 8. That's a pretty good year from your secondary, right? 8 interceptions in a 12-game regular season. Yeah, I'll take that.
I'll take that for sure. All right. Artie, let's move to the offense.
Let's do it.
Or before we do that, defense as a whole. I kind of already said mine. Top 20 rush defense. Like to see defense as a whole stay consistently in the top 20, maybe crack.
Now, where did we finish as a whole this past season nationally?
I believe we were around 35, 37.
Nationally. Okay. So it's going to be hard to bump up almost 20 spots in a year. But I would say 26th, 27th nationally. We can get up, 8 to 10 slots from where we were last year as a defense. I mean, we had a damn good defense last year. But we're sitting in that top 25, top 26 range nationally as a defense. That's pretty scary. So I would love to see that.
We were 38th in total
now,
defense,
which is still really good. That's still really good. 20, 25, 26, 27, that range right there. I think that's where I would like to see our defense moving up as far as next year as a whole unit. Rush defense, obviously probably gonna be a little better than the pass defense, so maybe sitting in that top 20 rush defense, but as a whole, yeah.
ECU was, I believe, number 2 in the country on 4th down defense.
Last 2 years straight, we've been good on 4th down, man. Our 4th down defense last 2 years running has been pretty damn good.
Yeah, I mean, this defense is good.
Blake Harrell for president.
Yeah, and then I'm looking at, we weren't in the top 50 for interceptions. I believe we were, like I said, I believe we only had I'm looking at the wrong stat. Oh well. Yeah. I top 20 defense. Top 20 defense.
Okay. That's
if you
Jared,
between 20
top 20 defense, man,
Between 20 and 25. I'll say between 20 and 25, like a top 25. Like, I think that there's the ability to be that good.
Because, I mean, our defense last year only gave up 22 points a game on average. We got a top 20 defense. That means
and we still finished 2-10.
We
were the Walmart brand Iowa.
Like, that defense only gave up 22 points a game. So top 20 means we're giving up 17, maybe less than that. Wow.
That's tough. That's real tough. All right, Artie. Offense.
Let's get into it.
Running backs. Is it too much to say for Rajay Harris? 750 and 7.
I don't think it is.
Do you think he could get to 1,000? I don't. Knowing his role in the running back room, I don't know if he can get to 1,000. I do think with a good offensive line or an improved offensive line, a full season removed from his ACL injury, he could get to 750 fairly easily.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not going to put 1,000 on him like that. I think he's definitely capable. He's capable of getting 1,000. The Rajay Harris that we've seen fully healthy off that injury.
That Rajay Harris we saw in the last game of the season this year.
Yeah, that's Rajay Harris. Yeah, that's the guy we know and love. I think 750 is definitely obtainable. Where I think he'll actually finish, I think he'd actually finish around 850, 900. I think he's going to be right under 1,000. I don't see him getting 1,000. But 750 is absolutely obtainable.
7 touchdowns?
Yes. And that's where I had him. I had him between 7 to 10 touchdowns on the season. We're going to need him to score 7 to 10 touchdowns.
Okay. I would like to see Javius Bond have a full year healthy. His New Year's resolution is to stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Rehabilitate during this offseason. Get right. Get in the weight room with Big John. Come back next year. I also don't want to see him playing special teams at all.
Yeah.
That's a guy, you don't put him on special teams. Unless he's going to try to be a kick returner, which I don't think we need him to be. That's a guy that I want to stay healthy. Got injured in that SMU game. Missed a couple weeks. Sprained ankle. On the very first kickoff of the game. Injured.
Yeah.
Out 3 to 4 weeks. He's got that explosive ability that if he's healthy, I'm not going to put Keaton Mitchell on him, but he is damn good, and it's a damn good 1-2 punch.
Right.
Along with a defensive coordinator scheming for an air raid, high velocity offense that we're expecting to see out of Coach JDB, having a guy that can, we're going to hand it off, bust it for 20 or 25, get yards after contact. That's a guy that I need healthy. He's going to go through it.
Yeah.
So Javius Bond plays in all 12 games next year.
Okay.
Anything else on the running backs for you?
No, I would say overall from that room, give me over 1,200 yards rushing from that room.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take that. I mean, granted that this is with overall ECU had over 1,600 yards rushing this past year.
No, that wasn't on from the running backs, though.
No, but I mean, you got to remember Mason Garcia had a couple big games, but looking at 2 years ago, right? Keaton Mitchell, Whole Nailers,
Yeah, that was.
He had 2,400 yards total rushing. Now,
if we can hit 2,000, I mean that's where we want to be is 2,000. But overall,
so
I'm just going to hamper expectations a little bit.
You said what, 1,600?
Since we had 1,600 this year, because I didn't know we had that many rushing yards this year, I'm gonna do 1,700.
Okay.
Overall, let's get over 1,700 rushing yards.
I'm for it. All right. Next, Artie. Let's talk offensive line. I want to say allow less than. It's really hard to do with this offensive line. Lots of moving parts. They're bringing a lot of new guys. They already weren't that great. New offensive line coach. Less than 10 sacks. And I'll say less than what? 20, 25 tackles for loss.
I like the less than 10 sacks.
And I'm also like I'm accounting tackles for loss. Like if we run a screenplay, that there's a tackle for loss there.
Right.
Like that's not on the offensive line. that's on edge blocking.
Yeah, I would agree with those numbers.
I'm talking your running back's not getting blown up behind the line of scrimmage.
That's more so my thinking, right? Is that our rushing, our rush blocking is to the point where we can get more than 1 to 2 yards on a play as far as a rushing attempt, and then our pass blocking is allowing our quarterbacks to get at least 2 to 3 seconds to pass the ball, right? Like he can literally count to 3 Mississippi and still have a little bit of time to get the ball out of his hand. So,
I mean, you average 3.5 yards per play. You're getting first downs more times than not. Right? So we need that. We need I'd like to see us average 4.5 yards per play, and that's a stat that you're going to look at, and it's going to be because of the offense.
It's going to be attributed to the offensive line.
We can't be. We've got the quarterback now. We know what we've got in the running back room. You bring in a bunch of studs at wide receiver. If the offensive line can be even somewhat good, maybe not even good. If they're tenable, like that word already, tenable. If they're tenable, and you can average 4.5 yards per play, you're going to be in a good spot. If your running backs are averaging 4 yards per carry, I'm happy. Granted, you're going to have some big ones. You're going to have some ones that don't do much of anything, but it all falls on the offensive line from that standpoint. We've seen Caden Hauser, watching his clips. He knows when to tuck the ball and run. Now, is he a dual threat quarterback? I wouldn't put him there, but he can be. He can get it done with his legs if he has to. Which is something that I think ECU struggled with from the quarterback position, right, this past year. Alex Flynn had trouble going through his assignments, going through his reads. Mason Garcia, I think that there was just some kind of – he had the yips, right? Like, I hate to put that on anybody, but he had the yips.
No, yeah, he just looked like he did. He just looked like he,
make the decision.
Right.
Neither of them looked like they could make the decision. Part of that was because they didn't have time to make a decision. But as the year went on, they had more time and more time. got more comfortable with the offensive line. That's something that's going to have to happen quick. We got to get the offensive line figured out. Otherwise, it's going to be another long year. All right, tight ends.
Yeah. I'm excited for this room, man. We got an offensive coordinator that knows how to do something with tight ends. I'm excited for this room. I think there's gonna be a lot of growth.
Any New Year's resolutions?
Well, I mean, they're obviously an extension of the O-line, right? So we definitely need some guys that know what to do as far as the run blocking and pass blocking. But as far as being able, because we haven't utilized the tight end position as well as we have in years past, and as well as some of these other teams are utilizing the tight end position. So, I mean, I would love to see 3 to 5 catches a game from that tight end spot, right? 3 to 5 touchdowns on the year, maybe a little more than that. Maybe I'll put it at 7 touchdowns on the year from that tight end position, and really utilizing it to when defenses are least expecting it, right? So, like, you're opening up in the run game, you're opening up in the pass game, and all of a sudden, boom, you got a 15, 20-yard pass play downfield from one of your tight ends, right? Like really utilizing them when we need it most. But I just want to see us using that position to the best of our abilities, because the tight end, when you have a good tight end, you know how to use a good tight end, it can be critical to the success of your offense.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, ECU last year had less than 200 yards total for their tight ends.
That's absurd.
And we're talking after a year after we were saying Ryan Jones could be drafted, right? Granted, Shane Calhoun had 2 touchdowns, 15 receptions, 119 yards, averaged 8 yards per reception. Get the ball in Shane Calhoun's hands. There's opportunities there. We've seen it. Whole Nailers could figure it out. I don't think that they incorporated the tight end in the game plan last year enough.
They did.
That's not on the tight end. They were having to help out the offensive line more times than not.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Shane Calhoun. The tight end room, you said 7 touchdowns?
7 touchdowns as a whole, the tight end room.
Okay, I'm going to say 500 yards from the room, and I'll also say 7 touchdowns.
I like it. But we've got to use that room more. I mean, absolutely. I mean, if you look at the NFL, man, they've mastered the tight end position. You got like 10 really famous tight ends. Like, they've mastered it. So we've got to use that position more.
All right. Wide receivers, Artie. Chase Sowell, he's back. Brock Spalding, back. Then you got a buttload of transfers coming in. Winston Wright Jr. from Florida State, Omega Blake, South Carolina, Anthony Smith, NC State. Chase Sowell is still wide receiver 1.
Yeah, he's wide receiver 1 till somebody take it from him. That's wide receiver 1.
Like, he's number 1. Now, what's interesting to me, Artie, is ECU went out and added a bunch of guys that run 4.4 40s.
Yeah.
To their wide receiver room. They added speed to this wide receiver room. Something that we haven't had. And I think with JDB's offense, with the weapons you've added, granted, hopefully Winston Wright Jr. is healthy. I've heard Omega Blake, like, talking to some guys from South Carolina, they thought he could be the real deal. Right? Anthony Smith, I think he runs like a 4.3 40. It's insane. Yeah. These are guys that if you can give them a chance to run under a ball, we're going to see a lot of big-time explosive plays. I'm going to say for the wide receivers, and this is partially on the quarterback too, but I would like to see us have 17 plays or more of passes caught 15 yards downfield or more.
Nah, just round up, maybe 20.
Okay. I was going to say 20, but I was tempering it. I was trying to temper my expectations a little bit.
20 plays of 15 yards or more. I don't even think that's that much of an ask.
Now, I'm saying the target of we're not talking yards after catch.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking targeted downfield.
At least 15.
At least 15 yards.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying those are completions.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well,
I would say 20. And honestly, what do you say about yards? Like, what do you say this room as a whole, yards total for 2024?
What do we say? 1,700 from the
rushing.
From rushing, 500 from the tight ends. It's 2,200 yards right there. $4,000? 4,250?
So you're saying that
because I mean you're gonna have a guy like Chase Sowell who is gonna pop off and have. I mean, I think Chase Sowell. We could be talking about two guys getting pretty damn close to 1,000 yards.
So you're saying the wide receiver room as a whole has over 2,000 yards? You said you're putting it
for sure. Yes, for sure.
2,200.
Yes.
Because you weren't saying they were going to have over 4,000 yards. They're not getting over 4,000.
I'm thinking more like 4,000 yards passing. Okay, so yeah, I think 2,000 to 3,500 yards. Yeah, I think it's doable. We saw even last year Chase Sowell make it happen.
How many pass yards? How many pass yards do we have this past year as a team?
Josh, do you have that?
I know we average 162 pass yards a game.
So that would be over 1,200, probably closer to 1,350.
So I'm going to say 2,200 from that wide receiver room.
Okay.
I need 22 or more, 2,200 or more from that wide receiver room.
I think you have Chase Sowell. I think Chase Sowell pushes 1,000 yards.
I think he pushes 1,000 too. Yes.
I would not be surprised.
But I do not believe we're getting a C.J. Johnson, Isaiah Winstead kind of year out this room. So I think the second best receiver is probably going to be creeping around 650, 700.
I don't know, Artie. I think you might have a guy with the speed in this room and competent quarterback play. I could see having a guy at 1,200, close to 1,200, and another guy with – I could see another guy having 650, 700 yards.
Okay. We had 1,900 passing last year with that horrible offense that we had last year.
That's 1,900 yards from two guys that I just said.
Yeah. So
and then you put in Brock Spalding. You put in two of the other wide receivers getting yards, and they're going to pop off. You're going to have games where you're going to throw it all over somebody. I mean,
our schedule
you
is
play Norfolk State to start the season, Artie.
We got an enticing schedule. I mean, it is an absolutely delicious schedule.
The best team you play is Liberty. Nobody on our schedule scares me. Everybody else, every team has lost a bunch. Granted, we lost some, but we lost all on offense. But our offense was anemic.
Yeah.
I think that this offense, this style of play, Total offense, Artie. Mm. 4,800 yards.
I'll give you
5,000.
4,800. I will agree with that. I'll agree with 4,800 yards total offense for next year. With the kind of spread offense that JDB wants to play, with the kind of speed guys, over the top guys.
You're looking at averaging 400 yards of offense every game.
Now, granted, this is all, with the pieces actually coming together and being able to mesh, because everything is coming together immediately, and chemistry is a real big thing. So, I mean, all these new guys got to come in and really, really, really vibe with each other and mesh well. But if it works out the way we want it to work out, I can see that.
Yeah. This offense is gonna be a complete 180. Now, Artie, last year ECU had 22 total touchdowns on the year.
It's
Not
really
great.
bad. That's really bad.
Not great.
That's really bad.
Averaged 4.3 yards per play. Last year alone, we had 3,300 yards.
Yeah.
Of total offense. I'm saying you add. Is it crazy for me to think that we could add 1,500 yards? Is that crazy? Am I insane?
But you have to remember we had a bad offense, right? So we had
a terrible offense.
We had bad quarterback play.
We had drops everywhere from the wide receiver room.
So that's a bad offense, right? So if you actually have a competent offense and a team that can go out there and put up some points, then adding an additional 1,500 yards really is not out the realm of possibility. It really shouldn't be that hard at all, right? But again, it's going to be banking on these guys coming in and buying in immediately and being able to work together immediately outside of what the coaches are saying, outside of these guys got to come in and do it on their own too. They got to have their own side stuff that they're doing together, hanging out together, meshing with each other, having their little own side workouts and things like that. Like, they got to really buy in right now and be like, okay, we can get this offense together immediately, but we really got to put in that work. Like, it's going to take some work, but it's doable.
4,800 yards over 12 games, Artie. 400 yards of offense per game. Granted, you're not going to have that every single game. Let's round it off at 4,500. I still think, even at 4,500 yards, with the defense that you have, if you can add
defense that we believe we're going to have next year.
I mean, if you're adding
that we're having,
if you're able to add 15 touchdowns to where you're at 37 touchdowns on the year from your offense, granted, your defense is probably going to score some too. ECU top 40 last year in scoring defense. I mean, there's opportunities there, right? I think that adding 15 touchdowns isn't out of the realm of possibility. I'm going to say 35 to 40 touchdowns from the offense next year. I think that's doable. I think if you can average 28 to 35 points a game, you're good. You're in a good spot.
I would agree. I would say, in today's world of college football, you probably need to have an offense averaging over 24, definitely.
Right.
So, yes, if we can average 28 points a game, we can add an additional 15 touchdowns, like you said, which I think is doable to do because we had a very inept offense last year. I don't see it out the realm of possibility. I really don't.
You also got to remember how many times we missed a field goal. How many the scoring, granted, that's on special teams. We would put ourselves in positions. The defense would put the offense in great positions to come away with something, and we just wouldn't.
Right.
We just wouldn't. I mean, it was honestly.
I'll also say, last thing I'll say as an offense as a whole, because I'm just now seeing this stat. Third down conversion rate was 29.3%. 29.3 third down conversion rate. That is god awful. So I would love. I need that to double.
Well, when you've got 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7,
right? It's damn near impossible. But you can't score it. Third down conversion to 29%. You can't score.
I would be interested to see how many 3-and-outs ECU had.
So that percentage has to double.
I know there was a game, I believe it was SMU maybe, where neither team had a first down until like 5 minutes left in the first quarter.
I mean, that's yeah.
All right.
And that third down conversion was 126 in the country. So
Kane Hauser, show what everybody thought you were when you were coming out of college or out of high school. If you could show that and be a leader. He talked about last week when he was on the podcast. Was that last week we had him? Show that you were the leader of this offense. Bring these guys together. Kane Hauser as a second team all conference next year. I think he makes second team all conference. That's his New Year's resolution. I feel like that's doable.
I mean, he is coming out of one of the best conferences in football, right?
Against some of the toughest defenses.
The Big Ten only plays second fiddle to the SEC. So he has played some of the best defenses in the entire country. He can absolutely come into the American and do what he wants to do here.
I would love it. I would love it. All right, Artie. So offense, we're going to say average 28 yards per game or 28 points per game next year.
I like it. I like 28.
Considering,
you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna say 28. Yeah, I'm gonna say 28.
What were you gonna say?
I'm gonna say 28.
Say it.
No, I think I was gonna lower it by like a point or two, but you know what? I like 28. I like to even 28.
4 touchdowns, Artie. Special teams. We were 17 for 25 on field goals. Got to get that up. Conrad, there's opportunity there. He was nails at times last year.
Right. I mean,
he was knocking down
long ones. 5 straight in a game. So,
I mean, he won us that game against Florida Atlantic. He won that game. Now, and I think his long this year was 49, a career long. I would like to see him get more consistency from the hash. I would like to see us with a field goal percentage over 90%.
It's not gonna happen.
You don't think it'll happen?
It's not gonna happen.
Guys, at third year?
No. Huh?
Guys, third year kicking? You don't think it could happen?
Over 90%, Jared? I mean, that's like, yeah, I don't see it. I would say 83 to 85%.
Okay. So yeah, I guess
we don't have Jake Verity walking through the door, brother.
I'm usually a math guy, Artie, but okay. So let's just say he went 22 for 25 this year. He went 17 for 25.
Mm-hmm.
We're adding 5 kicks to him. That puts him at 88%. Okay. Let's say 80%, 20 of 25. I'll go with that. 90% was a little steep.
Not 90% high.
My math is all off, but yeah, okay. I'll agree with that. 80%.
Okay.
And I don't know how many punts we had blocked this year. It felt like a lot. I'm gonna say less than 2 punts blocked all year. I feel like we were always having punts blocked. Maybe that's just, I don't know. We were punting it so much. I feel like that has to do with the offense.
There was a lot. Yeah, there was a lot of punt blocks.
It was brutal to watch at times. All right, Artie. Baseball.
Let's get into it.
You want to do resolutions first, or we can do those after? But so American Athletic preseason award announcements came out today. ECU baseball has picked to finish first in the conference with only one voter not choosing the Pirates. I don't think you can vote for your own team, so that one voter was Cliff Godwin.
Yeah.
And he voted for South Florida. Charlotte was number 2. I don't know who. I know Charlotte was number 2. I can't remember the exact order behind that. South Florida, I think, was picked 5th. That was where his one vote went. And then 6 players announced as all preseason all AAC, including 3 pitchers: Trey Savage, the 2024 preseason pitcher of the year, Zach Root, Danny Bill, and then as your fielding positions, catcher Justin Wilcoxon, first baseman Carter Cunningham, and outfielder Jacob Jenkins Cowart. Lots of high praise for the Pirates.
Per usual.
I mean, the goal isn't to be conference champions.
Right.
The goal isn't to win the conference tournament. It's not even to really win a regional. The only goal for ECU baseball is to make it to Omaha.
So the only thing that's left.
I mean,
so the only thing that's left.
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves and say our only goal is winning the national championship because we're not there yet. But there's an opportunity to win the national championship. Just get in. Just get in. This year, ECU, I mean, Cliff Godwin has said it, I believe, the last 3 years in his press conference after the season ends in the NCAA tournament. He says, we're banging on the door. We just got to kick that thing down. Paraphrasing, of course. This year, ECU kicks down that door and gets to Omaha.
And look, we're gonna keep saying it till we do it. So every year we've had this podcast, we said the same thing, and we're gonna keep saying the same thing until it happens. Because at this point, yes, conference championships are nice. That is still a goal. You know, great regular seasons are nice. That is still a goal. But regionals are nice. That's definitely still a goal. But we've been there, done that, right? We know what that feels like. We've done that plenty of times, not just a couple times. We've done it a lot. So it's Omaha. It's Omaha or bust. So,
yeah, for sure. All right, Artie, walk the plank. You got one?
Ooh. Man, I don't think I got to walk the plank this week, brother. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not mad at nobody right now. I don't think I will walk the plank. Yeah, no.
I think mine, Artie, for the first time in my life, I'm going to say something. Clip this. I am on the side of Dave Doran for the first time in my life, Artie. For the first time.
Wow.
Mac Brown was upset. There was a camera. He wasn't upset at the camera. He was upset that Dave Doran called, I believe he called Tar Heel players little shits
That's funny.
And Mac Brown ended up calling Dave Doran classless. Dave Doran said, look, was I wrong in calling somebody a little shit? Yes. Did I think I was being recorded? No. I didn't know they're supposed to tell us when a camera's in the room. Nobody told me. I don't know if I believe that or not. I don't
He's
know.
A better man than me. I wouldn't apologize for nothing. I said what I said. I meant it.
Mac Brown and the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill are the biggest crybabies, whiners. I mean, whining goes perfect with wine and cheese, Artie. They are holier than thou when there's plenty of clips of their players saying the same damn thing about being NC State's daddy and all this other stuff. I don't care. Right. Get over it. People talk shit.
It's not good enough to get into Carolina.
It's the heat of the moment.
It's a rivalry, man. It's a rivalry.
Artie, the only thing classless is a UNC transcript. So, and I say that with my wife having gone to Chapel Hill. I'm sorry.
Yeah, she wasn't a student athlete. She actually went there.
She wasn't. She actually was a double major. Graduated with honors. Hey, very proud of my wife.
Don't get it twisted. Jared is married to a Tar Heel.
Yeah. Look, I don't hate. My hatred for Chapel Hill has diminished since I've been married. Now she doesn't care for Chapel Hill athletics. I don't watch them. I don't talk shit about them to her face like I do to the hundreds of people that listen to this podcast.
She didn't go to North Carolina basketball games while she was a student there.
She did. She worked them.
Okay, I was like, I mean, even if you're not a fan, like a sports fan, she Carolina, you got to go to basketball games.
Now that she's out, she doesn't care.
Okay,
she'll watch them in the national championship. That's just it. She was there their last national championship. Also, while we're on the subject of Chapel Hill, we talked about Miami doing the least with most earlier. UNC isn't very far behind. I'm tired of hearing about their top 15 recruiting class. I'm tired of hearing about how great Mac Brown is. I'm tired of hearing about all of this bullshit. Guess what? What would they finish? 8-5?
8-4. Well, yeah, 8-5 after the loss of West Virginia yesterday. And that game was played in Charlotte and did not have no Carolina fans there.
That fan base is the most bandwagon fan base. I mean, they were talking Drake May for Heisman. Look, Drake May's a good quarterback.
He's a top 5 draft pick.
But they were talking, we're going to be in the college football playoff. We're going to do this. They started 6-0.
They lost to Virginia at home.
Went 2-5, and I believe 1-5 in their last 6 games against Power 5 teams.
Yeah.
Get out of here with that shit.
And to be honest with you, their fan base doesn't even fill out their own stadium. They're wasting away a beautiful stadium, by the way. Keenan Stadium is a beautiful football stadium. It really is. And they can't even sell that place out. With a team that's supposed to be a top 15 juggernaut competing for conference titles and this, that, and the third.
They only care about UNC basketball. Some care about baseball, but for the most part, they care about UNC basketball. That's it. They don't show up. They don't do what they need to do. I mean, it's embarrassing.
They are a basketball school. They will always be a basketball school.
And that's fine.
Like, at least show up to the football program that is, trying to.
I mean, you had a top 25 program in the country. Stop ranking Carolina in the top 25 preseason. Stop.
By the way, overhyped programs. Did NC State win tonight? Did they win their bowl game? I know they were playing earlier today. The game's got to be off by now.
The game should be close to over.
I feel like they started the game at like 5 or 6 o'clock.
Yeah, they lost 28-19 to Kansas State.
So they lost to Kansas State. Wow.
Still only
had 1 10-win.
I was about to say.
In program history. 1 10-win season in program history. Who the hell are they to talk to us about mediocrity? Get the hell out of here.
State, Chapel Hill. Walk the goddamn plank. Your fans, your athletes, your coaches, walk the plank. But especially Mac Brown for being such a piss baby. Getting mad that somebody called his team little shits. You're all little shits there in the Raleigh-Durham area. I don't give a damn. All right, Artie. The Cotton Bowl.
Let's get into it.
Missouri. Ohio State. Ohio State 3.5-point favorites, over under 48.5. Ohio State without their quarterback. I really want to go Missouri here.
What say you?
Am I crazy for picking Missouri?
I don't think so. Crazy at all. I don't think you're crazy about picking Missouri. I'm picking Missouri. And it's not even because I hate Ohio State. I just think they're more motivated. I think Missouri is going to be more motivated. I think they did something this year that they weren't supposed to do, and that's win 10 games with an opportunity to win 11. Ohio State obviously is always playing for a natty. They're not even in the playoff. So I just think Missouri is just going to be more motivated. And like you said, Ohio State doesn't have the quarterback. Now, McCord, I mean, they're not really losing that much in McCord, in my opinion. But I like Missouri in this game.
All right. Next up, I believe, is the Peach Bowl. Ole Miss, Coach JDB, going to finish his tenure with the Rebels, facing off against my father-in-law's alma mater, Penn State. The Nittany Lions are a 4.5-point favorite, over under 48.5. It's another good one.
It should be a real good one.
I've been high on Lane Kiffin. Oh, give me Ole Miss.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, brother. Look, that's going to be the best defense they play all season. That defense is going to give them fits. But Penn State's offense is atrocious. And I just trust Lane Kiffin more. So give me Lane, give me the Rebels.
For sure. All right, next, Artie. Number 23, Liberty, plays Oregon in the VRBO Fiesta Bowl. Oregon's a 17-point favorite, over under 67.5. I'll say this.
Is Bo Nix playing in this game?
I don't think so.
Okay. That's a little bit of a difference maker.
I don't care. Oregon dog walks Liberty.
They probably still should dog walk Liberty, but I'll say this. If Liberty wins this game like a Tulane over a USC last year, y'all going to have to shut up about Liberty. Y'all going to have to eat crow.
I'll eat crow. I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't either. But
I think Liberty loses by 3 touchdowns.
Bo Nix not playing in this game. Oregon obviously was looking for a college football playoff, much like Ohio State. You got to factor that in. Who's the more motivated team?
I guess my only thing is Liberty.
I still think Oregon wins. I still think Oregon wins.
All the Liberty fans that are talking all this shit, you haven't played anybody. You had the easiest strength of schedule in all of college football.
Hey, but a Liberty fan is going to tell you, where's the loss?
Exactly.
Where's our loss?
I'm going to tell you, it's going to be in the Fiesta Bowl.
So,
and then it's going to be again when the Pirates travel to Lynchburg next year, buddy boy.
I like Oregon.
Yeah, give me Oregon. All right, Capital One Orange Bowl, the opt-out bowl. I think I've seen 19 players have opted out from Florida State.
Yeah.
Georgia's 20-point favorites. Honestly, they should just put all the water boys out there and see who wins.
This bowl game is going to be so sad. You're going to see a whole bunch of no names that nobody knows about.
Nobody wants the fans, the coaches, the players. Nobody wants to be there.
And I get it because both these teams have a legitimate gripe, but
this is the exact reason we needed expanded college football playoffs.
Yeah, these Florida State nor Georgia gives a damn about an Orange Bowl. They just don't care. And honestly, I'm gonna say Georgia just because Florida State is just they're just. I'd be surprised they even walk out the locker room. I mean, I'm gonna say Georgia. Georgia's gonna win this game, but man, yeah. This feels like it should be like really important. It's just not. It's such an insignificant game.
Yeah. All right, Artie, the college football playoff. The All-State Sugar Bowl. Number 3, Texas. Number 2, Washington. Texas is 5-point favorites. Over under 63.5. Going to be a lot of points scored in this game.
A lot. Yeah. This might be the best game of the New Year's Six. This Texas Washington game might be even better than Alabama Michigan. This one might be the game.
Give me Texas.
I'm a big fan of Michael Penix. Washington has been dogged all season. They've been underdogs when they really probably shouldn't have been underdogs. They're probably the most disrespected, undefeated team of all time.
I mean, Florida State is right there.
Well, okay, yeah, well, Florida State. I'm sorry. Florida State is the most disrespected, undefeated team of all time. Then outside of that, I would say Washington. But I'm going to disrespect them even more. Hook them. Give me Texas.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm on Texas here. Washington isn't a team that you expect to see playing for a national championship.
Well, we said it about TCU. They made it.
Right. And we saw what happened to them when they made it.
That's true. But they still made it.
All right. Well, that's it, Artie. I don't have anything else to talk about.
Stop playing with me. Put it on the screen. Yes, sir.
All right. Alabama, Michigan, in the Rose Bowl presented by Prudential. Michigan's a 2-point favorite, over under 44.5.
What say you?
Go Big Blue, baby.
Let's go. This feels like Zeus versus Zeus. I'm gonna be honest with you. In the Rose Bowl, in the granddaddy of them all, it couldn't be a more fitting, destination. I'm gonna be sweating. I'm gonna be crying. I'm gonna be all over the place for this game. I don't think I've been this nervous about a Michigan game in a very, very long time. My in-laws are all Alabama fans. They're from Alabama. They went to Alabama. They are literally graduates of the University of Alabama. This is going to be a very nerve-wracking game for me. But we know where I'm going. We know where my heart's at. I think Michigan's going to pull it out. Big Blue. We finally get that playoff win, and we get into the national title game. We send Harbaugh off the right way. If Harbaugh wins, he's gone. I've already come to that realization. If he wins a natty this year, he's going back to the NFL. It's going to happen. But
yeah, I just think Michigan's defense is, it's going to be one of the best defenses Alabama's played all year long. I think that coupled with what they can do on offense, I'm really not I'm really not sold on Milroe as a quarterback at Alabama.
We got to control the tempo. If Michigan controls the tempo and plays the style of game they want to play, they are going to win. If Alabama can somehow make it a shootout, then we're in deep trouble.
I do think that this is a good thing that, granted, there's Alabama fans all over the country. I do think it's a good thing that it's not in the heart of the South and out in Atlanta.
Yeah, they got to go out west.
They got to go out west.
Yeah.
Look, it's a tough travel for both, but you're not in Atlanta.
It's still gonna be it's gonna be 50,000 plus Alabama fans and 50,000 plus Michigan.
Right.
It's still gonna be.
It's gonna be insane.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, it could be a lot more if it were in Atlanta.
That is true. It'd probably be like an 80-20 Alabama kind of game. It will be a home game.
So I think that, granted, it doesn't really matter. These teams have, they've played in the big house, and they've played at Ohio State. It doesn't matter where they play. The fans are going to be there, but I do think that helps Michigan a little bit more, knowing that they're not going to have to go into Atlanta, which would be a home game for Alabama. All right. We'll have time to do a national champion on the next show.
Yes. Big Blue, baby. Go Blue. Hell to the victors.
All right.
Can't wait.
Thanks again to the Variety Sports Network, Variety Sports Collegiate, for allowing us to have all of our content on their platform. Shout out. Make sure you go follow them. Follow all the other great shows that are on Variety Sports Network. Make sure you follow us on social media at Boneyard Podcast. Posting a lot of great content on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, wherever we're there. Make sure you follow us. Turn on those notifications so that way you get notified every time we go live, anytime we tweet. Always got some fun stuff coming out. And subscribe on YouTube. That way, once again, you get notified when we go live. Got a lot of great content. We're sitting down later this week to talk 2024 planning. We want to do more video content, so stay tuned for that. And then leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcast. 5 stars, and you'll be a best friend of the podcast for life. 1 star, you can walk the damn plank. All right. Artemis, take it away.
That's all she wrote, baby. Until next time, Pirate Nation, wash your hands, wash your butts. Enjoy this New Year's weekend. I know I will. Be safe. And deuce.
Peace.